Counselor Cheney, are you all set?
I am, I'm sorry. I
No,
apologize.
that's fine.
I was to come into order. No, this is.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The hour is being 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting of the Laconia City Council to order.
Can we quiet
Order.
down, please? We're gonna get started. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Hosmer is not here tonight. I am Mark Haynes. I am a counselor from Ward 4, Mayor Pro Tem. Before we get going, I'd ask Councilor Cheney if he'd lead the council in the salute to the flag.
What happens when you're late? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Cheney, and it wasn't because you were late. We are joined at the table by our recording secretary and city clerk, Katie Gargano. Katie, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Counselor Cheney,
Here.
Counselor Susie,
Here.
Counselor Hoffman,
Present.
Counselor Haynes,
Here.
Counselor Bogert,
Here.
Counselor Felch.
Here. Thank you. We are joined with our finance director, Glenn Smith, and our city manager, Kurt Biati. Before we get started, we have a proclamation. Is there anybody here from the Board of Gut Lunch? Would you please come up, please?
Giving me numbers. He hasn't got them yet, but he's giving.
Hi there.
Yep, he's giving me numbers for both. That's kind of dead right now. It's not dead yet, but it's just right now. No, I
Do you
think,
want them to all come in?
I don't have any information for that for you.
Come right up.
It'll come to me.
We'll make room, you can come over here. I don't bite.
I'm sorry.
This is a proclamation from the city of Laconia. Whereas Gut Lunch Laconia launched in the summer of 2011 and has been providing weekly deliveries to families of the city of Laconia children every summer since. Whereas the Gut Lunch program is a community-based effort created to address the food insecurity of Laconia school children. Not only those who receive free and reduced lunch during the school year, but also students registered in the Laconia School District who have benefited from this program, whereas whether public, private, or homeschool. The program's mission is to address the need and to deliver healthy groceries directly to children's homes during the 10 weeks of the summer. And whereas in the summer of 2024, the Gut Lunch program helped 469 of the city's children with assistance of 140 tireless and dedicated volunteers, delivering fresh vegetables, healthy food, and literacy materials over the summer months. Whereas, as testament to the success of this program, there has been a growing list of other communities in the Lakes region that have implemented similar programs. Now, whereas I, Andrew Hosmer, Mayor of the City of Laconia in the state of New Hampshire, do here proclaim September 23rd, 2024 as Gut Lunch Laconia Day in the city of Laconia, and thank the volunteers for their great work in all the things that they do in our community. And we'd like to thank them.
She's our chair.
Thank you very much, folks. Okay. Thank you, council. Item 7 is acceptance of the minutes from previous meetings. City Council regular meeting of September 9th, 2024. Minutes of the Laconia City Council meetings of September 9th, 2024 were distributed to the members of the Laconia City Council on September 17th, 2024. With no corrections and changes submitted to the clerk, the minutes will be accepted as distributed. 7B, minutes of Laconia City Council non-public meeting of August 12th, 2024 were distributed to the members of the City Council on September 9th, 2024. With no corrections or changes submitted to the clerk, the minutes will be accepted as distributed. Consent and action items. Item A, temporary traffic order 2024-15, Laconia High School Homecoming Parade. Laconia High School has requested approval of a temporary traffic order for Lakes Region Laconia High School Homecoming Parade from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Friday, the 27th, September 27th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Councilor Phelps, seconded by Councilor Bogart. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. 5 votes in the affirmative. That passes. Council, I'd like your indulgence to move 21B under new business to the forefront. 21B, the lease of agreement between the City of Laconia and Laconia Airport Authority and 11 Corporate Aviation LLC. This is a new lease with Mark Wogum, doing business as 11 Corporate Aviation LLC, and the lease area in the development zone, number 3, on the new development area known as the Crosswinds, adjacent and inclusive to the closed runway Mr. Wogum intends to construct a hangar on the property. The lease agreement duration is for 40 years in length and to be reviewed for 20 years to negotiate a new rate. The agreed rate is 20 cents per square foot per usable acre for 2024-2025 fiscal year, with adjustments according to the December CPA-IU each year. The city concurs no cost. Marv, would you like to speak to this item, please? Marv Everson?
Everson,
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Everson, I'm sorry.
Last time I was here, it was for the same thing for another lot, the first lot we were developing. This is lot number 3 now that is ready to be developed. Well, it will be. We need to get the lease agreement in place before the site work begins on that property. So this property is the second of 9 lots that we have created, ready to be developed by 11 Corporate Drive Aviation, or Corporate Aviation, which, as was mentioned in the lead-in, Mark Woglum is going to develop that lot, build a hangar on it, and we're ready to go. We just need the airport authority approved for, in this case, the mayor, Andrew Hosmer, to sign it on behalf of the airport authority. But I knew in advance that he was not going to be here. He informed me. So we are asking for approval for the city manager, Kirk Beatty, to sign it in his place on behalf of the city of Laconia.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marv. The proposed motion is, I move to authorize the city manager, Kurt Beatty, to sign the lease agreement with Mark Wogum, doing business as 11 Corporate Aviation LLC as requested. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilor Felch? Councilor Susie?
Nope. I'll stop.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Just a
Council
question, please. When they build a hangar on leased property.
Mhm.
And then they decide to move on in life and the lease is up or for whatever reason. Who retains the hangar?
The lease is good for 40 years, so generally, if they want to move on in life, if they're already of an elderly age or, you know, within 40 years, they sell the property, they sell the building, but the city owns the property. So the lease is in perpetuity. Now, we can cancel it at any time if, you know, for good reason, as they can also, there is that written into the lease agreement. But the general practice is that the hangar owner has someone or finds someone who wants to buy that hangar property, and they most often will assume the lease. Because for obvious reasons, if they do it in 10 years, it may cost more or a higher lease rate. But if they can assume the lease at the current rate, it's to their benefit.
One follow-up
Sure.
question, please. Are they, the hangar owner and I'm assuming is the owner of the lease, or
Correct.
has the lease? Can they sublet all of that out at a,
They can. That is allowed, but
Mhm.
only with the approval of the airport authority.
okay,
So the authority has jurisdiction over who is allowed to lease.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, the motion, Council Cheney?
Did I understand you say that the lease agreement can be reviewed at the end of 20 years?
Reviewed in 20 years and will be.
I understand that. Okay,
It isn't the agreement itself that would change necessarily. It's the lease amount.
I understand. Thank you.
So, Council Cheney?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Can we have comments?
there's a motion on the
Yep.
table. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Motion made and seconded.
All set, okay. All right.
Council.
All those in favor?
No, I'd like some comments if I might.
Okay.
I'm a bit concerned about 20 years review. I'd rather see it set at 10 years, every 10 years. Property values have gone up astronomically in the recent past. And although I'm sure there'll be a slowdown, this area is growing. I just think we should look at this more frequently than every 20 years, or essentially twice in the next 40 years. So I'd like to make a motion to amend it to say every 10 years.
I second it.
Okay. All right.
May I comment, sir?
Please.
It is written into all of the lease agreements that we have. If it's typically a 40-year lease agreement, midway through is when it's reviewed, understanding that lease rate does not stay, in this case, at 20 cents per square foot. It's increased according to the December CIP
I
or
understand.
CPI.
I understand. I just have a difficulty with the time frame, and so I've made that motion.
All right, there's a motion on the table. It's been seconded. All those, is there any other discussion?
Yes.
Can I just,
Yeah.
may I? Marvin, sits on city property, but there's real estate taxes paid on that, right?
Real estate taxes are paid on the property, the building,
On the building.
not, obviously,
Right,
not the
and
land.
that's actually paid to the town of Guilford, am I correct?
That's correct.
So the value of the property, just like it is for my house, your house, everything else, is based upon the annual, assessments that are done, and then they pay property tax on that.
To the
Right.
town of Guilford, correct.
Okay, and then the land, which you're saying right now is at $7,000 some odd dollars. They pay 20 cents per square foot for the lease of that land. It's adjusted each year based upon CPI. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Say that again now?
the building itself.
Yeah, or the building.
Okay.
But I'm not concerned about that, I'm
Okay.
concerned about the land.
Okay, the building is assessed by the town of Guilford, and they pay a real estate tax.
Got that.
The land is assessed at 20 cents a square foot, like you said. Right now, it's a little over $7,000 a year, okay? And then it's adjusted yearly based upon CPI.
I didn't hear that.
It's right in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, I apologize, I didn't.
okay. So it's right here, Bruce.
Got it? I
Thank you.
apologize profusely to everyone, and I withdraw my
Withdrawn. Okay.
Okay.
Do you withdraw your
That
second?
takes care of that
Okay.
adjustment,
Yep, okay.
okay?
Okay, we're back to the, we're back to the original.
Back to the original.
Any other discussion on the original? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor? 5 votes in the affirmative. Okay.
Six. Count yourself.
No, thank you.
Count yourself, six.
Oh, okay. 6, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Usually the mayor doesn't get. Sorry about that. I'll get used to it. All right. Item 9 is citizens' comments on matters not on the agenda tonight. This is a time set aside by the council for citizens to comment on matters that are not on the agenda. Again, I say not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak is more than welcome if you give your name and address, and keep it to 3 minutes. And I would appreciate it if anyone would like to speak, add new information and not just completely rehash something that somebody else has said. So I'll open this up to anyone that would like to speak to matters not on the agenda.
Housing Champion is on the agenda, right?
Correct.
Yes.
That
So
is, yes.
we'll wait till
Yep.
item 19.
Okay.
Are zoning changes technically on the agenda?
I don't see anything on the agenda tonight with zoning changes. I'd ask the city manager, is there?
Not really, there was some discussion in the Housing Champion stuff about zoning, so it doesn't have its own agenda item.
Right.
It's part of that, though, so probably for ease, it'd be easy to keep that all wrapped up into one.
Okay. All right. All right, 7:18, seeing hearing from no one, we'll move on to, yes. No, sir, you have to come up so everyone can hear you.
Will we be discussing Hillcrest Drive by any chance?
No, but I don't see.
Yeah, not indirectly, not specifically, as, with the except as is, it's part of the discussion, but not, I don't think, I think this would be a separate
Okay.
conversation.
So, sir, if you'd like to talk about Hillcrest Drive, the
I'm
floor
just
is-
more of, right now,
Would you just give your name and address
sorry.
to the city?
Scott Mowry at 226 Hillcrest Drive.
Okay, thank you.
I moved in there about approximately in 1998, and right now it's considered a private road. And currently, we have all of the signatures required except for 2. But I guess you guys are looking for 100% on the signatures.
Didn't we, wait a minute, didn't we adjust that?
May I?
Yes.
So that's, as part of the agenda tonight, there was, you had consensus on it. The wording of the motion was not comfortable with what we want to do. In your packet tonight is an adjustment, an adjusted motion that you guys will vote on later tonight,
Okay,
which discusses this.
Right,
So-
but I don't think the gentleman here understands what we have for a motion.
If I can continue on, so, yeah, this is,
ahead.
so currently, guidance from the council states that if we're gonna go from a private road to make it public, you need 100%
Sure.
of the owners of butters. The motion that's before them tonight, changes that from 100% to a majority.
To majority.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure which way you were thinking, but that's the direction that
That's
it would
exactly
go.
what I was.
Yep.
So you're gonna discuss that tonight, or?
Yes, there's gonna be discussion and a vote tonight of that as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay. Item 13 on the agenda is the sale of city-owned property on Woodland Avenue located at tax map 407/247-35. This is a public hearing on the matter, and I will open the public hearing at 7:20. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter specifically, now is your opportunity to speak to it. Okay, seeing no one, I am closing the public hearing at 7:21. All right, there are no presentations. Seems the mayor is not here, and I wasn't prepared to give any kind of a report, so I'm kind of skip that. Council comments. I'll open this up to the council. Councilor Cheney.
I have two items, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. One is, October of last year, we received an update on the as-is roads. That is, what roads have been accepted and where they're at and whatever. And I would ask that the manager and public works director provide the council next month with an updated report on the roads. I know there's some that are still questioned, and I'd like to know what those questions are and where we're at. The other item is just a statement of compliment on my behalf. I see we finally have double-sided printing, and I want to compliment the staff on doing that. It should save us a small fortune in paper in the upcoming months. I'm thankful.
I think we can thank Nancy for that.
And now-
but
Yep.
Right?
Yes. Oh,
I'm sure he
absolutely.
will.
Absolutely.
One of the other things why we keep Nancy. Anyone else? Councilor Susie?
Yeah, I have one request to go to the Public Safety Committee, and one of my constituents brought it up on Howard Avenue, and our Public Works Director is aware of this, and I also brought it up to the Fire Department Chief. There's a lot of cars parking in that area and blocking areas of the street that I don't think a fire truck, or a ladder truck specifically, could get around some of the corners back there behind in that area. So I'd like to bring it to the Public Safety Committee, ask them to look at that along with those two department heads and see what we can do to maybe solve a problem or prevent a problem from happening. That's all.
Okay. So moved. I'm the chairman. So it'll be moved to. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
You're the chairman of public safety?
That's what it says here. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Okay. It's,
Notice I've been very quiet through all of this.
Chair. Eric, I guess that's yours.
No, that's
No, it's there. Whatever.
Bruce.
Okay.
Ms. Bruce.
Anyone else?
Get us scheduled.
Council Felch. Council Bogart? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Okay. Liaison reports. Oh, okay. All right, now we're on item 19. Is citizens' request to comment on current agenda items. This is the time for anyone who would like to comment on anything that's on tonight's current agenda items, and we will follow the same protocol as we did with citizens' comments not on the agenda.
Hi, thank you for having us tonight. My name's Tom Siegel, live on 44 Village Court. I would just like to keep this short and say I'm really opposed to the city moving ahead at this time with this housing champion designation. I don't think it's been given enough study, and I'm also opposed to the changes to the ordinance that have to go along with this. Again, we're moving too fast without seeing what the repercussions will be. We thought this was going to be an open process. We were told that there would be an ad hoc committee formed to study this. I know at least 5 people that I'm aware of had volunteered to be on a committee. Nobody was notified. And this was for the 10 acres up off of Parade Road. Then we find that RFQs have been already received. So we're just wondering where this transparent process went. So I just want to express my opposition to this, and I think the council should take a step back and take a harder look at this. I know housing is required, but what's being proposed, I think, is not what Laconia needs.
Okay,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
City Manager, would you like to comment?
I was just gonna make the comment that those are the Housing Champion and the RFQs are two separate projects. They're not the same project. The 10-acre project is, is correct. We did have RFQs and stuff received. The Housing Champion it's gonna be described much better than I will by planning department tonight. It's a way for us to receive more grants, more opportunities, funding, that type. So, would they cross paths, those two things? I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but they are two separate, they're two separate pieces.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree. These are all hooked together. You're already moving ahead with ordinance amendments, you're moving ahead with RFQs, and you're moving ahead with trying to get this designation. So I don't want to argue with you, but they are, and I don't feel that we're having a transparent process that allows citizens to get involved.
We are forming a committee to deal with,
There's been no public hearings, haven't done any of that yet. That's all still on the table. Has to be, has to be.
And the RFQs are just for information
Yeah.
purposes.
So there's a
That's
whole
all
lot
they
of
are.
processes in between this and the endpoint.
Okay.
It is.
RFQs, fine. I'm not going to argue with you, but I don't agree. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes, sir.
My name is Bill Milner. I live on 36 Marshall Court in Laconia. You can see the people here. And let me give you in two words, sum up why they're here. One is fear. The residents are fearful that the city will seek the status of housing champion. The residents are fearful that zoning amendments will be adopted, making it easier for development for workplace housing, for cluster housing, manufacturer housing. The two are joined. The residents are fearful that our neighborhoods will be negatively impacted and forever changed. Equity in our properties will be diminished. The residents here question why Laconia must be the first housing champion in New Hampshire. Why do we need to be the canaries in the coal mine? If you said to me there were 3-4 municipals in the state of New Hampshire that got this status, and if you said to me, look at what they have done with it, look how they developed their city, I'd say, good, let's go ahead. But if you make us first, it'll preclude other towns around us to be housing champions because we own it, and we'll own it forever. I know there's a 3-year period that we can get in and get out, but you'll have to make a report every November to the state of New Hampshire about what you're doing, and so you'll be predisposed that you gotta do something. I asked the city council tonight not to declare their support, because that's why you're here, that's what's on the agenda. Now, the second word that I'm gonna sum this up with is trust. We presented over 200 signatures. Am I right? Have you got 200 signatures, petitions? You get the packets, okay? Did you all get the packet? There are 200 people. I probably talked to 50 of them personally. And I'm surprised what I heard. I asked you to look at the names on those petitions, because these people know you, you know them. You're here to protect them. You're here to do your job. They elected you. And they trust that you'll do the right thing. And what I'm hearing when I'm going out knocking on doors is that there's trust is eroding. The faith in the decision-making process isn't there because there seems to be some subvention here. They don't see the whole puzzle. But the puzzle is this: get the housing championship, change the zoning, which gives you the criteria to get that done, and you got carte blanche to do anything you want in the city, anywhere, anytime. Now I'm gonna give you an example of what is really the trust issue here. And I'm gonna use your words. This comes from the RFQ 024-8-08. And it says, the city of Laconia has been favorably impressed with similar developments, significantly cottages at Black River Road, Dover, New Hampshire. There's probably 4 people here, maybe, or more, that have been there, have taken pictures, and have shown us this. This project is a year old. It looks like it's more than that. If people want to come up who have been there, there was one, for instance, that somebody pulled up and asked them, how do you like living here? She says, I hate it. It's a roof over my head. So I look at these pictures and I say, this is demeaning. It's degrading to ask people to live like this. In the cities, we want to put our city employees in here. We want to put our police officers and our teachers in here. No one should ever support housing like this. And for the city to say that they're favorably impressed by this is beyond me. It's beyond the people here. So this topic of trust. We trust you, but we don't trust you on this because it's our lives you're dealing with. We don't trust you here. We support the right housing in the right places at the right time. So in conclusion, I asked you to earn our trust back. Our trust is an important commodity, and trust is your only currency. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Rick Gugino. I live at 28 Village Court, and want to echo everything that Bill and Tom have said. And I do have a couple of specific questions. People give me some more insight, other people. Does anyone know what the projected building density would be for this project? I looked through it, I couldn't find anything, and I think that's important. And along with it, a big concern that I have is how will this be managed in the future once it's completed, if it is completed? I don't see any plans or anything, projections or anything about it. And those are 2 questions that I'd like to have some answers to. Building density would be something I would think.
Yeah, each one of them, so as part of the RFQ, it was left relatively open-ended, because we knew it would be coming back, you know, like Council Hoffman said, if we were gonna do a committee. I don't have the exact density, a couple of them are a little bit different, so, and your other question was, management, we've not, that was part of that, what do you bring to the table sort of conversation, so, no real true answers on either one of them. Again, we understood that the RFQ coming through was gonna have answers to a lot of this, and but they may be different.
Okay.
And if there's,
Yeah, the reason I mentioned that, in looking a little bit more at the other location, it looked like the building owners actually managed that down at the other location, and then they turned that over to some other people. So it was a more personal impact on it that they had to watch over it, you know, and I'm concerned that if something gets turned over, who's gonna manage it? Who's gonna watch over it? And one big thing that, and I think you've heard it here already, is transparency. I'd like to see if we can have a little bit more transparency. Whatever that takes. I'm not sure, but you know, I've just heard that over and over again. You know, we just need to have a little bit more. Anybody have an answer on how we can do this, or?
You know, sir, I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Go ahead.
From my standpoint, I'm not the mayor,
Yeah.
okay? I'm just filling in tonight, and I usually sit there, okay? this was all a request for information. This is as far as this has gone, as far as I know, okay? So I think, I appreciate the questions, and I think those are questions that will be answered, but we're not even at that point yet. It was just an information request.
Okay, well, I'm just, the transparency, because we're all feeling like this is kind of catching fire and going a little quicker than it.
Well, as far as this council is concerned, you're far, far ahead of us, because all I can
Okay,
say,
I'm just,
it was
that's.
a request for
that's-
information, and that's as far as it's gone.
That's my impression and some of the other people's impression, too.
And I mean, as
I
far,
just want to relay that.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody knows where.
and
it
as
is.
far as that
Okay.
development in Dover, I mean, that was just a comment that was made. It was not made by the council, so. And it's not even on the agenda anyway, so.
I mean, it's, obviously there's a need for housing in this community,
There is.
and we have this piece of city-owned property. At this point, all we did is ask, we're looking to see if developers are interested in developing it and what they can bring to the table for us, right? That's all that's happened at this point, right? We've
Yeah.
talked about forming a committee, but we're just seeing what the interest is in developing it. We aren't housing project developers, right? So someone has to develop this into housing, and they're not gonna do that unless they see a profit in it. And we just wanna see what's out there, what they bring to the table, so we can evaluate it and kinda know where we stand with that property.
And to
That's
be honest,
literally all we have discussed.
we haven't even seen the RFQs ourselves,
No.
so you know as much as we do.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just want to stress the transparency, that's all.
Understood?
You know
Okay.
exactly what we know, because we haven't seen the information any more than you have.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Okay. Counselor Susie, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just have one comment. The only thing
Bob?
to me, there is a link, whether it's hard link or indirect link, there is a link to this Champion City and the development that supposedly people want to put. There is that link. And I'm really concerned that we're putting, I think Mr. Miller, I'm sorry if I got, okay. He put it in the best terms I could see. You okay one, everything else is gonna, like, build it and they'll come, whatever. You okay, and that's what's gonna happen. And that concerns me. I don't know why the planning board is bringing that other item to us.
So.
Well, to me, it's all linked. That's
Counsel, wait,
Yeah, so
Bob, are you done?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Counselor Phelps?
I agree there could be a link, but there doesn't necessarily have to be a link. It's up to us.
If we say yes to that ordinance, it's not up to us anymore.
That's right.
It's taken away. Taken right out of our hands.
Sir?
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Matt Cashman. I live at 44 Marshall Court. Everything that's been said tonight is exactly what we are trying to say here tonight. We want you to take this very serious. There's over 200 signatures, and there's more coming. We are not in favor of this proposal at all. I realize that there's a long way to go, but a lot of trust and transparency, which are overused words you're hearing tonight. We live here for a reason. We live here because it's a quiet, nice community. We've lived here for 27 years. Your elected officials, listen to your constituents, please. This is not right for Laconia. Slow down, talk to us that have experience in just this type of development. I would like to know, when are you looking at an ad hoc committee, and when you do form it, I would like to be on it. I'll
Okay.
look at the city manager for an answer on that.
The RFQs, just to give you a timeline, they don't know this. The RFQs came in Thursday afternoon. I started looking at them on Friday afternoon. I'm compiling them to get to them, and I think our goal was to have the discussion with you, 7, just ahead of the next meeting, the first meeting in October. And then if the direction of that would decide, are we going forward, not going forward? And that would determine if there's gonna be a committee and that, so that's really where that stood. So if it didn't move forward, there'd be no need for a committee, obviously. If it did, then that would be part of, and that was Councilors Hoffman and Cheney that were
Mr.
kind of
Beatty,
tapped. Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Would you accept if we can get together, can we get on that schedule and talk when you have that meeting? Or can we have a meeting ahead of time with yourself and the mayor and any other ward councilors that
Yeah,
are making a decision on this?
No, I would say that.
That's fair.
I'm certainly always open, and so would he be. We'd have to be cautious if we have too many councils at once, and it'd be a meeting and all that.
Understood.
So,
right,
if you
we'll
call my
set
office,
something
we can
up.
certainly set something
And I'd
up.
like the mayor there and any other councilors that don't make it a quorum.
Yep, we could, absolutely. My office is, just call my office and we'll set something up. Be glad to.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Fran Siegel. I live on 44 Village Court. What you are proposing with this Home Champion and the development on Old North Main and Parade Road represents a major change in the way of life that we see here. This is not Nashua. This is not even Manchester. This is Laconia. It's a small town. What I see is a group of people who are supposed to be protecting us, protecting our way of life, not inflicting something on us. And it feels very much like it's being inflicted on us. We have a way of life. We live here because we choose to. We like the zoning. We like the rural nature. And I'm asking you to respect that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else?
Good evening. Christina O'Neill, 30 Round Bay Road. I've lived here 70 years, practically all my life. And I'd like, first of all, before I say anything else, I'd like the council to indulge these people here and allow each one of them to stand up, give their name and address, and their position on this, the proposal that is before you, so that you know on the record who's against it and who's here. Is there any problem with that?
Ma'am, I don't have any objections to it, but
Yeah.
if the names are on the petitions,
No, they're not, I don't know if they're on the petitions. The petitions have 200, obviously we don't have 200 here.
okay.
Is there any problem with them standing up and saying, my name is so-and-so, and I lives here, or at a certain place in, whatever, all over Laconia? And by the way, those petitions that you have, people could not take them out of my hand fast enough when I was going around and sign. They saw those pictures from Dover. One commented that that aerial view that was on that, the document that you promulgated looked like Stalag 13. Well, the city promulgated.
Okay.
Okay, now, the second thing is this. Why do you, as Bill said, why do you want to be the first one? You know, the first heart transplant patient died 18 days later. Why do we have to be the guinea pigs? Why don't we wait for other municipalities to take this position and see what happens there? Number two, there was a mention that there was a housing shortage. Have you got a study on that? Has a study been done on that, number
Ma'am.
one? And number two, what is the extent of that housing shortage? What is it? Did you have a study done on it?
How many unhoused people did you walk past on your way in here tonight?
Oh, is this gonna be for the homeless then? Is that what you're admitting on the record? Okay, is that what you're admitting? Is that what you're admitting?
You don't think, okay, I don't see that these two issues all of you are talking about are linked, but I do think there is a link between housing stock and homeless people.
You brought up the homeless, the people out there that you're referring to were homeless, weren't they?
Yes, because housing inventory has
Okay,
directly influenced.
so you're admitting that this proposal before you is to house the homeless?
Oh,
Is
it
that
is
what-
not. And
Well,
plus,
why'd
there
you
is no
bring it up?
proposal before us. What I hear is that you're against a proposal that doesn't exist. We don't know what it is, and you're against it.
You got the
So I
motion
can
right
only,
there.
I could only ascertain that you're against housing in general.
No, you've got the motion right before you.
That has nothing to do with what the development.
You've got the motion right before you that was promulgated by the planning board. At the
Yes.
bottom of the second page is a motion to be designated, have that designation. And then we're subject to the rules that the state wants to promulgate. And all of a sudden, the state's telling us, you have to build this certain amount of houses, you have to let these people live in them, not necessarily from Laconia either. So you're putting us in a position of building tiny houses, or building mobile home parks, or building low-cost apartments that the state orders us to do, because we get some money from the state. I've lived here 70 years. My relatives came here in the late 1800s. We're not here recently.
I understand what you're
Okay.
saying. I just
But
think
you're
there's
the
a
one,
lot of
I didn't bring
confusion
up the homeless, you did, okay?
here. Sure.
Yeah. So, again, answer my question. Has there been a study as to what is the extent of the need for workplace housing, or the type of housing that you have in that motion? Has there been a study done?
I don't know if specifically on that issue there's been a study.
Okay, so we're getting into a state program where we don't even know what the problem is, if there is a problem, correct?
Do you think there's not a problem?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. Is there a need for workplace housing in Laconia? Or are we gonna be
Yes.
Where's the study? Where's the study?
Okay.
Okay?
You have a point.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I don't want to be having these houses built and this program being implemented by Laconia so that the workers from Meredith, Guilford, and Belmont will be using them. Why should we be sacrificing our property values so that these people can find out what the problem is in Laconia before you start
I don't
adopting
think
them?
any of us up here want you to sacrifice your property value.
Thank you, that's all I want to hear. Okay.
That's why we're here.
Is there any problem with people standing up if they wish and saying their names and address?
As long as it's orderly and we can
and
move
they-
on.
Giving their position on this proposal, whether they're against or for it.
Why don't we just stand up and just
Okay,
stand up and show
everybody
your support?
stand
Just
up.
stand up. See
Stand
how many
up.
people show your support.
Stand up if
These
you're
are the
against
people
this
that are against
proposal.
housing,
Okay.
champion housing,
Champion housing
housing
designation.
champion.
Thank you.
And
Okay,
tip of the iceberg.
thank you.
And incidentally, if I can add something.
Ma'am, if you're going to address the council, you've got to come to the microphone.
If I could just add something, you are at that point because it's on your agenda for tonight to offer support.
Okay.
It's on the agenda for you to agree to it and support it.
Okay,
So you are at that point.
okay.
I'm sorry, but just one more point that I have to
Okay,
make.
very short.
Very shortly, let's take 1 minute. Right across the street from this 10 acres is state school property. That is going to be a big project. I don't think there's anybody that's going to object to that. But if you were to take those pictures that you have, and you put those houses across the street from that, and I'm a developer on the state property, I'm gonna look at that and say, no, 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 they can't go there. Do that deal before you do this other deal. That's what we're asking.
Okay, sir, I'd like to add something, okay? First of all, you understand that this was a request. We haven't made any decisions whatsoever. And another thing, okay, as far as, we don't know if anybody's even interested in developing that because we haven't heard from what's been from the city manager.
You get submissions? He said get
Okay,
submissions.
fine, we haven't seen them. Second of all, okay, I want to point out something to you. When you say the state school, okay, the state school property, okay, we don't know how many years that is ever going to take, okay? It was pointed out to me that Southdown started back in the 70s, and they're still developing down there. So it's been 50 years. And as far as I have no idea what the state's going to do as far as developing that is concerned, and is a good, it could be 60, 70 years. So to say, let the state school property Good luck.
No, no, what I'm saying is, there is a developer who's been talking with the state, Pillsbury, and he's interested. Would he be interested if he knew that the city manager has put out an RFQ that most of you obviously haven't read, but everybody here has read it, and they're scared to death, as I said about it, and they're looking at it and they say, "Are you kidding? This doesn't belong in this neighborhood. It belongs somewhere, maybe, not that type of housing, but that type of housing doesn't belong in that 10 acres of land." And all I'm saying is, the state school property across the street should have priority, because that's the most important. We support that. There isn't anybody here that would be against that. What we don't support is workforce housing, and we know that's where we're heading. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
This, if I may, just, I was waiting for the
City
end of
Manager
this.
Kirkpatrick?
The city clerk has both packets, the 200 names, and it was talked about tonight, so it's already in our minutes, but just want to let you know that those have been included by her in the recordings for tonight.
So they will be
Okay.
recorded.
Yep, and as requested by the petitioners, and she has them.
All right, thank you. Okay. Item 20, City Manager's Report. Kurt?
I'll keep this under an hour. I'm gonna move really quickly tonight for you. Couple just notes I'll make on the Laconia projects update.
Kurt? Okay. Gonna have the City Manager's Report. Anyone that would like to leave, please do so in an orderly fashion. We will wait. Still wanna, you still wanna thank me?
So they can hear what's in that report, and they wanna move it up, so while they're here, they can hear the presentation for what, planning department? Or housing champion designation.
They can stay if they want to.
Thought he was talking to me. I think I have to. He makes.
You and my dog.
All right, we'll move on. If
Correct,
you
yes,
ready?
please.
I'll move quickly.
No.
Laconia projects update. I'm just going to hit on 3 or 4 things. Old North Main Street paving is just about complete. They have some connections in the driveways that they have to do, so hopefully that's coming along well up there. Academy Street Bridge was paved. Final completion date at the end of September. I didn't realize how often I drive down Academy Street until the bridge isn't there. I was like, okay, apparently I'm over there a lot more than I thought I was.
Yeah, and I'm up and down there 2
and
or
you're
3
up and
times a
down
day.
there. Mill Street pedestrian bridge is on tonight's discussion, so that's included on there. I'm gonna skip all the way down. The 3 TIFs, at least downtown and the Weirs always meets. They have quite a few meetings. Downtown's meeting more frequently, and with some changes in personnel,
Go ahead.
with some changes in personnel, we're going to try to get all of those up meeting very regularly, and so I would assume that we're going to start seeing many more updates on that on the 3 TIFs. Native American statue is I actually have updates moving along well. They're actually potentially within a few weeks of having the statue put back up. If you're ready, I'll move on to my monthly economic report. I'm just going to skip to page 2, and certainly you can jump back in with questions. We're at 3.1 for the year right now. It had another drop, as we probably all saw on the news. It went down to 2.5. So estimating out, I don't want to guess right now, but we're probably going to be just slightly under 3% when it annualizes out for the year, unless there's a major spike either up or down in the next few months. I have that already spoken. I was asked last month or last meeting to bring up the political signs, and I just wanted to update. I was asked as part of my update this month. We do follow, if you look at our ordinance, we follow the state RSA 664 for placement and removal of signs, so they can't be on city property, including right-of-ways. We can remove them it says by police or DPW, generally it's our DPW, they keep them as they're supposed to. And we require they be taken down, within their almost 2-week timeframe, just under 2-week timeframe. So our ordinance is just mirrored to state RSA. So hopefully that's, unless there's any concerns over that and we want anything changed, that's, my recommendation would be we stay as is. I moved quickly, but that's all I have for my report, unless you have questions.
Okay. Council, any comments for the city manager?
Accept.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, could I suggest we skip on to 21, E and F, seeing how these folks are here for that, and then we can get to other business?
You can, unless there's any objections from the council. Seeing none, we will move on to 21E. City Council support for housing opportunity planning HOP grant applications. This agenda item for the City Council to formally declare its support for the city to pursue a housing opportunity planning called HOP grant in the amount of $100,000. As part of Governor Sununu's $100 million Invest Initiative, $3 million has been allocated for provide grants to municipalities to analyze and update the land use regulations to help increase opportunities for housing development. New Hampshire Housing to administer the program. Due to overwhelming response to the program, the initial allocation was exhausted in the first 10 months. In the spring of 2024, an additional $2.9 million was allocated to the program. The deadline for the second wave of funding is September 30th, 2024. Planning Department will use the grant to rewrite the land use and vision sections of the master plan and add housing and implementation chapters. The funds will also be used to audit the city's zoning ordinances, subdivision regulations, and site plan review regulations for causes to lack of affordable housing in the city, to identify potential changes to these regulations. The community engagement will be an important part of this process. Kurt, do you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
No, I'll just say that the planner and the assistant planner are here if you have any questions. I will say one thing, this was, we were a finalist, we thought we had a grant through the congressionally direct spending to do the master plan update, something we've been talking about for a long time. You see the cost in it. So a big piece of this one, I know there's 2 different agenda items, but there's a big piece on this that is for the master plan. Certainly your support tonight in this, we would still be back in front of you for a public hearing and an approval if we were to be accepted for the grant. This just gives them, when they turn in their grant application, that it has some early, I won't use the word approval because it's not approval, but support from you to at least move forward with a grant like this, especially where it's such a big dollar figure. So that's the 30,000 for you on the grant side of it. If you have any specific questions, exactly what they're going to dive into would be
So,
down.
to make it very clear, we're applying. We have not
Correct.
received. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Do you wish them to speak to this matter at this point in time?
I don't unless you need them to.
No, I don't. Is there anyone from the council would like to hear from the planning? Okay. All right, the motion is I move the city council declare its support for the planning.
Question though.
Yeah, go
Could I
ahead.
have a
Sure.
Do I understand this will be used for the master plan, not for planning for this other project specifically?
Correct. I'll let them
Tyler?
answer, but correct.
Thank you.
So originally, this is what we were going to bring to the council first and foremost, because this, as Kirk had mentioned, we did lose that $100,000 funding opportunity. We saw this was $100,000 up to, that's the most we can ask for through the state. And we were going to use that. We can only use it for certain things, and one of it is a master plan update. So we want to move forward with the chapters we were looking at beforehand. One of the things is, because it is a housing opportunity grant, we want to look at a housing chapter, which is something we were discussing with the last funding as well. And that's not workforce housing, it's housing as a whole for the city. So I just want to make that clear. Yes, sir.
So as part of the master planning process, we're gonna study what kind of housing we need and maybe where in the community it is
Correct.
best fit?
Correct. So we already have a study that was done by the Lakes Region Planning Commission in 2023 of that type of housing, not the type of housing, but the amount of housing that we're going to need by 2040. And at the end of the day, we want to make it more specific to Laconia because we agree that we don't have enough data as a city to understand what our true needs are. We know in the big picture of the commission, what the commission thinks, but we want to control that ourselves. That's what this funding would be used for, to gather that data. When we do our housing chapter, it would reflect what that data is, and it would be just for the city.
But that's gonna be citywide, not this particular
No,
area.
correct. It is not just for workforce housing.
But it's not driven by, in other words, no one told you to apply for this because of this project.
No.
This is separate from that.
Correct,
And
yes.
primarily, I thought exclusively for master planning purposes.
It is, yes. So the primary purpose is for the master plan. Another thing that we've noticed in the planning department is that some of our site plan and subdivision regulations haven't been updated for quite some time. So we wanted to also get an audit of that to see what should be updated. It's not saying it will be updated, just an audit. These are recommendations based on the changing of times from 15 years ago.
Counselor Susie?
Thank you. Are there any ordinance change, will there be any ordinance changes or rules or regulation changes from this?
No, so they won't just be implemented, it would have to go through the planning board process, a very transparent process, because I know transparency is key. It is a very transparent process, we'd have to go through that before we could make any changes associated with this audit.
Does it come to the council?
Yes.
We can make it come before the, what do you mean by come before the
In
council?
other words, rules and regulations that get changed, or zoning laws that get changed, or anything to do with, this kind of stuff. Thank you
Yes,
very much for coming up, okay? Any of those changes, is that come before the council, or is that done if you find something in your study, okay, and you want to change it? You change it, and we don't have anything to do with it?
No, so this grant money is just mostly for the master plan that we've been trying to update
Right.
for a long time. And this would include money for planning charrettes and going out and getting public input and bringing everything back together. We talked about the housing chapter because we can get points on this grant, and the contractor we've been talking to said, we should really focus on some economic development in the housing and tie all those both in, because we had the housing needs assessment and that kind of tied everything together, but this would be very specific to help drive our economic engine here. So any of those findings there would then go to planning board, and planning board would review it, and then they'd ultimately vote on it, and then it would come back here. for
Come
city
back to the council?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is not to make any changes unless the council approves long-term?
Nope, the only way we can ever make changes is if city council ultimately approves those
Okay, and
changes.
this is just for the master plan?
And this is just for the master plan and the site plan and subdivision regulations and doing a zoning audit.
How long has it been since we've updated that master plan?
2018 was the last time we updated our master plan. It is severely outdated.
Yes.
And it is very much lacking in scope. Sometimes you really got to spend some money to get a great product, and we've not done that as a community, and that's what we're really looking to develop as that master plan.
We've talked about it, but that's as far as it's gone.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, thank you. Council Bogart?
Thank you. The master plan should only be updated every 10 years. Is that correct?
5 to 10 years according to state law.
5 to 10 years. Okay. So we're still in a good sweetheart position, even though we're getting on the gray edge. The other question is, I just want to clarify. The master plan, any of the modules that y'all look at, and it goes to the planning board, those modules then come to the council to ultimately say yes or no to put it into the master plan?
No, technically, the planning board is the ultimate authority on adopting the master plan.
So then, may I follow
Yeah,
up?
go.
So then the control doesn't, the council cannot oversee the directions, because people use that as a Bible. The plan, the
Right.
master plan's used as a Bible. And the council not being able to say thumbs up or thumbs down on this type of situation is taken out of the mix. And then it's out of our hands. So it can go in, we may not approve of what's being put in, but there again, we are having to live with the results of what's going in. So basically, regulators are trying to regulate what the elected official should be regulating.
So if I could answer that. So per state law, it is the planning board's sole authority to have control over the master plan. Now, with that said, one of the aspects will be to create a master plan steering committee, which will be a separate body just to focus on the master plan. And there would be public hearings for that. We would be having sessions with the community, because at the end of the day, it's not up to us to decide what this city's future is. It's up to the public to decide what the future of this city is, and we want them to be involved in that. So it's not just for us or even just for the planning board. It's really up for the city to decide what it wants its future to look like.
And the elected official is the people.
Correct.
Because they're the ones who put us in this position to make those, as I was told once, hard decisions. And that's why we're here, and that's what the people out there are saying. But I understand it's state law, so that gives me something to look at. Thank you.
The other, I just want to add in there, the master plan is not an ordinance. It does not the rules of which we follow. It is a guide on our path forward. And I think it's just very important to remember that our master planners are merely our guide as we move forward as a community.
Okay.
Any findings that we are determined or found during the study in this, part of that implementation plan is then to create the ordinances and draft some of those changes, which then ultimately come before city council for us to decide if we want to take that course and follow the path.
Okay, but I'd just like to remind the council, we do appoint the people on the planning board.
Oh, I was gonna get,
Okay, so it's just not, there's a control here.
Right,
Go
no.
ahead, Bob.
Thank you.
I'll come back to you, Bob.
Thank you. Right, we do appoint the people on the planning board, and we take it very seriously as chairman of the appointments committee. We do, we go through it really in deep. But just one last question. So no, this does not, it gives you a study, but it does not change any zoning laws, regulations, or anything else like that. It's just a study.
It
to
is
a
just
master
a
plan.
study, it is just data, so we can create our vision statement in our master plan. Yes.
How objective is it?
It is as objective as we want to make it, as much as money wants to allow for.
Okay. Thank you. I'm done. Go ahead, Steve.
Councilor Brogan.
You made a comment that it's not a decision-making book. And in fact, I've seen too many after 25 years of zoning that the master plan was used in making zoning variances and zoning differences. So it is a very important aspect of what the city is, because I've seen it go to court. So to say that it's not used in decision-making is not quite there, because it is used. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Rob. The motion is, I move the city council to declare its support for the planning board, and I underline to submit an application for the Housing Opportunity Plan grant and allow the city manager to sign the letter of support and the application documents.
Motion made.
Councilor Felch, is there a second? Councilor Hoffman, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 3 votes in the affirmative. Anyone opposed? 3 opposed.
Motion dies.
Motion dies. Okay. All right. Having said that, item 21F. City Council support for housing champion designation. The agenda item is for the City Council to formally declare its support for the city to pursue becoming the first municipality in the state to receive the housing champion designation from the New Hampshire Department of Business and Economic Affairs. New Hampshire Housing Champion Designation and Grant Program was established pursuant to RSA 12-071-75, which enables communities designated as housing champions to access additional funding opportunities that support the development of housing that meets economic needs of the city, should the city decide an HC designation and receive the following. Kurt, would you just like to add anything to this?
No, I think that, again, this was not specifically intended at any area of the city. It's not what it was designed for. Certainly, there's some crossover into what we talked about earlier and what in this. Working with the planning department, we did meet with the BEA earlier a week ago. Just have a discussion about this program and what's available out there and the sort of those potential increased or early opportunity of funding for different, whether it be zoning or planning board type grants that are out there. And that was really what the driver of this was. Again, this is the same scenario as we talked about earlier. It is not acceptance of this. It is about sending support to them to write the grant application if you so choose.
Okay.
Mayor, request a
Council
table.
Phelps.
Request a table.
That is not debatable. It's seconded by council. All those in favor?
In fact, I know,
Katie, did you get that?
I reversed my vote, please, Katie.
So you didn't second it?
No second.
So we can't vote without a second?
So request a table.
Council Hoffman?
Seconded by Council.
Second?
To table.
Yes.
Okay. That's not debatable. Okay. All those in favor of tabling it, please raise your hand. The item is tabled. No. wait,
No. 3-3.
3-2?
3 to 3.
Yeah, 3-3
3 to
again.
3. Okay, there's no one to break it.
I think we still go forward with the discussion about this.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
all right.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you still can. It didn't, it did not pass.
Yeah.
Councilor Cheney?
I'm going to express my concerns. I think the comment that the last speaker made is where I'm at, and that is we know nothing about the Laconia State School property. And before we go in getting involved in housing champions and planning and whatever, I think we ought to worry about what's going to happen there first. So I'm going to oppose this. I'm going to oppose this on the grounds that we don't know enough now. Folks are talking about, knowing what's going on. I think there's a lot left to be done before we get to the stage of applying to be a housing champion. I think the time has come for us to deal with the things we know we've got to deal with without worrying about what the future things are. I almost never say that sort of thing, but this time I do, because I'm frankly not totally concerned about the state school property and what may or may not be put up there. I think the state can do almost anything they want without our permission, and we ought to be awful sure
that we're gonna be, part of the, and I know manager knows more and can't talk about it yet, but I want us to know more about what's going on there before I worry about this 10-acre piece of land. There are a lot of things that ought to go on that piece of land, depending on what happens at the Laconia State School. So, just so the rest of the council knows, I'll be voting against item 21F this evening.
Counselor Hoffman.
What are the zoning ordinance changes required by the NHBEA?
There's a, if I might, it's my understanding there's a significant number of changes that are required. Maybe.
I just don't see them itemized here or.
No.
No.
That was
But
my,
just in the beginning of it, there's over 25 RSAs involved. There are, if I could real quick. I spent 3 hours trying to print and look through all this, and I'm sure I missed something. But there's the Champion Designated Grant Program, and then from there it goes to local land use planning and regulatory powers with workforce housing. Then there's local land use planning and the regulatory apply for zoning. And each of these have subsets of their own, because it spiders out from there. And
I just want to see a lot more
I guess
of that before
more
I.
I guess
zoning,
I have a concern that
regulation of
our
subdivision
zoning ordinances
land.
are then out of our
Site
control and
plans.
subject to someone else's decision-making
Not just
process.
the planning board, but the state.
We got it.
oh, and that was my reason for tabling, to find out more information.
Exactly,
Mr.
right.
Mayor, can I
You
ask
know,
I
you don't
understood.
vote on something before you know everything
Right.
about it.
Counselor Susie.
What is the rush on this? Where did the push come from to get this done? It seems like a big rush.
So, the push for the Housing Champion program started as a result of conversation with the mayor and the city manager and BEA.
I thought
And
so.
BEA is getting ready to roll out this program, and at the end of the day, the state is going to prioritize giving state funds for sewer, water, and other infrastructure developments to municipalities that have this designation. Now, the zoning amendments that would need to be changed have to follow the exact same process that our zoning amendments have to follow today, which is why at the planning board meeting, we were going to bring those forward. It's the same transparent process. We have the public hearing at planning board. We have another public hearing again at city council. And then beyond that, we even have this session tonight. So it is a very transparent process.
I
But
understand.
there's no rush. We can apply.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a rolling application over time.
I'll
Now, and I
I'll
will
be very
say-
honest with you. When I first read this, okay, and I said to myself, there's gotta be something more behind this, okay? And I'm scared, okay, because I just thought we were getting, and something Mr. Miller brought up that I haven't thought about, and I wanna thank you for doing it. We don't need to be number one, okay? We really don't need to be number one. I understand it's a great thing to try and get more funds for water and sewer. I'll tell you, whoever develops that property in the state school better bring a big pocketbook when it comes to water and sewer, okay? And we'll link up as much as we possibly can, because I wanna grow the north end of the city. But I don't wanna,
If I might comment to that, I agree. There is no need to be first. Funds are limited, and I think that was one of the driving factors. With that said, though, the $100,000 was actually gonna be used to study if this was gonna be feasible, if it was needed. So that's why we kinda did them together, but
I'm putting on my brakes. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
We have a motion.
Okay.
Do we have a?
I don't think we do.
We don't?
We don't have a
No,
motion yet.
we don't.
No.
All right, I'd like to go back to,
We haven't finished this one yet.
I'm sorry?
We haven't finished this yet. We still got to vote.
We still have a vote.
Oh, okay,
on
I'm sorry.
The table vote
Right, this
died,
motion,
so.
this motion has to come up.
Right.
And be voted on.
It had to happen when the mayor wasn't here and you had to do it.
I know.
It does. It's all right.
So what happens if there's no motion or second?
Okay, we were on item F.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, motion to table died, so we go back to the original motion, okay? I'll read it again. I move the city council to declare its support for the planning department to pursue the criteria required by the New Hampshire Department of Business and Economic Affairs to become the first housing champion community in the state. There was plenty of discussion. Is there any additional discussion? Okay. So,
I'll make the motion.
Right, I'll second it.
okay. All those in favor? All those not in favor?
This is just the beginning.
Okay.
Now you folks can go if you want.
All right, we're gonna go back to unfinished business. Thank you. Give me a minute here to
Mark,
Yeah, we're all over
thanks.
the place.
get organized back to where we were.
I know it was confusing, Mark.
Mark, thank you. I know this wasn't easy.
You shouldn't have been put in
Good
that
night.
position.
Okay. Unfinished business. Item B.
What's that?
Wait a minute now, where are we?
22A,
21A.
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 21A is where we should be.
Okay, that's right.
21A.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right, we skipped that. Yeah, sorry.
That's your fault.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. 21A. Surplus property on,
No, 21A is the
oh, okay,
If,
highway safety grant.
okay. I was on the unfinished business. Where are you now?
New business,
New
21A.
31.
Okay, well, we'll go back to unfinished business. Okay. 21C,
with 21A.
All right.
21A.
And before you start reading it, I have an update to it.
Okay.
So I don't want
Well,
you.
I can't find it yet, but that's all right.
Well, I'll say this while you're looking for it.
Okay.
This does not need, it shows you your three motions, sending it to a public hearing for acceptance. It does not need a public hearing. We've already had the public hearing for this, so it can go right to, if you approve it, right to an approval vote. Cut you down 2 votes that way. It's
Okay.
two less motions you gotta make.
So, yeah, but there's no motion here.
You can add the motion in now and just say, I move,
Eric, can I
I move to accept,
Yeah.
and have me sign off on all the paperwork.
All right.
Poor Mark. Poor guy.
21A. Resolution relative to authorizing the city manager to accept and expend an Office of Highway Safety grant on behalf of the city in the amount of $47,607.50 for the Laconia Police Department. Okay. And it's itemized. Do you want me to go through it, Gort?
I don't think you need to, and that can be your motion right there if you choose to.
And you said we don't
We
need-
don't need all 3, you can just move to accept.
Right. That's the motion I was gonna make.
Second.
All right. All right, all those in favor? All right. 21A is done.
21B.
The airport.
Oh, we already done
C.
21B.
Yep, so it's
21C.
Where are we going? Your lease agreement.
21C.
Yeah, they had
Okay.
it wrong, they had the wrong thing up here.
Did you do that one?
No, we.
Give this back to you.
Where are we going next?
Okay.
See,
We're on 21C. Okay. Resolution to the acceptance of a fully funded grant to replace the Mill Street pedestrian bridge. City of Laconia has been awarded a fully funded community project funding, CPF grant of $810,000, and the grant was originally submitted to Congressman Chris Pappas' congressional directing spending program. The grant is administered by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD was assigned a grant number of the project was B-24-CP-NH-1378. Department of Public Works will administer this project in a very similar way the New Hampshire DOT projects as administered. This will include the engineering study phase, public hearing of proposed action, preliminary engineering, and final engineering to create the issue of construction documents. Is that something that Wes would like to speak to?
Do you need to, or you, I think we're good, we've,
Okay.
I think if you guys are ready, we can accept the money.
Okay. The motion is I move to approve resolution 2024-21 relative to accepting and expending community project funding grant on behalf of the city in the amount of $810,000 to replace the Mill Street pedestrian bridge as presented, and to authorize city managers to sign the grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development and be authorized official for the grant.
So moved.
Council Susie, second. Council Felch. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor? 6 votes in the affirmative. Okay. Eric, I'm gonna have to borrow 21D too. 21D. Resolution relative to a supplemental appropriation of funds to allow sanitary sewer funds to purchase two new vehicles. The City of Laconia Sanitary Fund would like to replace one vehicle on its fleet as well as add one vehicle to its fleet. The proposal is to fund the purchases from the SSF's cash account balance. The sewer department needs a secondary vehicle to be used in the daily operation and maintenance of the city sewer system. Our truck operators currently drive a 2018 Ford F-550 equipped with a crane and air compressor. The truck is approximately 16,000 pounds and powered by gas motor, which results in a lot of wear and tear. The cost of the service vehicle is approximately $120,000, so purchasing the vehicle will keep it in good operating condition for years to come. The weight of the service truck makes it difficult to control it in inclement winter weather conditions as a rear-wheel drive only. This is three motions. I move to waive the reading of Resolution 2422 in its entirety and read by title only. Councilor Bogart, Councilor Cheney seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right. Second motion, I move the first reading of Resolution 2024-22 relating to supplemental appropriation of funds to allow the sanitary sewer to purchase two vehicles. Is there a motion? Councilor Bogart, Councilor Susie. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 6 votes in the affirmative. The third motion, I move to schedule a public hearing on October 15th, 2024, during the regular city council meeting to gather public input prior to this action being taken. Councilor Hoffman, Councilor Felch seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 6 votes in the affirmative. All right. Okay. I think that concludes new business, and we're going backwards, but that's okay. We're going to unfinished business. 21B.
No, 22A.
Oh, I had it crossed out, okay. Yeah. Sale of city-owned property by Woodland Avenue located on tax map. This was taken up under public hearing. Can I borrow that for a second? City has written offer by owners and abutting property, 42 Woodland Avenue, to purchase the land for $10,000. An appraisal for the property has been completed and has an opinion value of $60,000. A final purchase and sales agreement will include the following deed restrictions. An easement with Laconia Waterworks based on this city's policy will be required for underground water line which transects the property, The property being sold will be non-buildable aside with a small outbuilding on 200 square feet or less. The driveway will be no larger than what is currently used as a driveway, which is approximately 15,000 square feet. At the September 9th, 2000 City Council meeting, a motion was approved to schedule a public hearing on this matter, and then that public hearing was held earlier this evening. The motion is I move to approve the sale of city-owned surplus property located on Woodland Avenue at tax map 407/247/35 as presented, and to authorize the city manager to sign documents related to the matter. Is there a motion? Councilor Susie? Councilor Cheney? Seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? 6 votes in the affirmative. Okay. All right. 22B. I won't read this through. This was discussed at the last meeting, and it was a consensus that we established a community service recognition award, and a committee was partially assigned or asked by the mayor, and it will consist of myself, Councilor Phelps, City Clerk Katie Gargano, and Parks and Recreation Director Amy Levisek. And there will be other members appointed. This was so that we could recognize the time and talent of our citizens. And I want to point out to the council that this is just preliminary because what I'm asking is that the committee establish the criteria, and the criteria come back to the council for their approval, okay? So there's not gonna be any selection until the council has a chance to look at the criteria, the who's, what's, and where's, and of the findings of the committee. So it's just to establish that. And I did request and ask unanimous consent at the last meeting that we do name that Community Service Recognition Award in Bob Hamill's honor. As we know, our fellow colleague did a lot for the city and above and beyond what was called for by a city councilman. So that's why I want the council to know that's where we are. The criteria and the selection process will come back to you in writing so that you can see it before there's any discussion about making any awards or anything else. So, so the motion is I move to establish the Bob Hamill Community Service Recognition Award Committee to present an award on a periodic basis to a citizen of Laconia who exemplifies the spirit and public service by sharing time and talent and energy on the general betterment of the community.
So moved.
Councilor Susie? Second. Sorry, you missed the last meeting.
I did want to note, this is what happens when you miss a meeting.
I know. It was mentioned before, it was, your name came
We
right
all
up.
voted.
I had already spoke with Mark
Is there
about
any-
this and
okay.
was in favor of it.
Is there any
so-
other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 6 votes in the affirmative, and that will come back to the council. All right. Proposal to change. Okay,
Want me to jump in on this one? and
Yep, just, let me read it.
Yep.
22C, City Council on August 26, 2024, meeting tabled a proposal for the City Council guidance on the acceptance as-is program. The issue was resulted in the proposal being tabled dealt with the definition of abutters and the number of abutters who must approve the easement. Correct, I'll let you.
Yep, so we had a lot of discussion of this last week, just as a quick reminder as to how this went. Your guidance to us, not ordinance, any rules, but your guidance is that if we have a private road that's looking to become public, either by the owners or by you, to bring it forward to you officially, we have to have 100% of the abutters in agreement to that. That's work that Director Anderson does from DPW, working through my office to get the approvals before we even bring it forward. All this does is allow us, by your guidance, to bring this forward if we have a majority of owners, not necessarily 100%. It does not mean that you're approving these roads by doing this. All it's doing is saying, now you're gonna hear it and we'll be able to tell you, there's 10 houses, you have 8 approvals, and then we can move forward from there. On your staff report, we did redline the number 100% and wrote majority in 2 different locations. And after a lot of reflection, I think we came up with a proposal that, proposed motion that works. It is on the table, so you'll have to take it off the table if you choose to, and then I think that motion works for what you're trying to do, I hope.
Okay. All right, first of all, gentlemen, we need to take it off the table. Council.
Make a motion to take it off the table.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Felch. Okay, it is off the table. All right, the motion is, I move that the City Council approve amending the guidance under accept as is program, which currently states 100% of the budding landowners provide an easement for the eligible private road to be accepted, and change the guidance to a majority of abutting landowners provide an easement for eligible private roads to be accepted. Councilor Susie?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Felch. Any discussion? Eric?
Yeah,
Councilor Hoffman, I'm sorry.
I hate to belabor this any more than we need to. A quick clarification. So, from what I'm reading here, if it's accepted as is, a majority of the abutters can petition to bring this into the betterment process, right?
The accept as is, so different than the betterment process.
Right.
And
but
again,
it's-
it all comes forward to you guys before any of those get accepted or denied.
But it is on here that abutters of roads that could participate in the Accept As Is program can petition for a betterment process to bring the roads up to city standards if a majority of abutters agree. Right?
Yes, they can petition to bring it forward to you to make a decision if that's something you want to move forward with.
But
We're
then
not
the-
accepting it until they bring it to us, and then we talk.
Sure.
about it.
And we
But-
can accept it as is and not better it.
Correct.
Okay.
Understood. But then the next one is, in order to go into the betterment process, 100% of the abutters need to agree to participate in that process.
Correct. As of right now, if somebody comes forward and says, we're gonna go to a betterment, which puts money on the owners of those streets, that is still at 100% before we bring it forward.
Now,
That's something we can address later, if
Okay.
you choose to, but that's,
That makes sense to
yeah.
me. I just want to make sure that's
yes,
what we want.
that is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's a good point.
Is there any other discussion?
It's a good point.
Very good point.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Councilor Hoffman. Okay. All those in favor? 6 votes in the affirm. All right. All right. And Eric, I do have this one. I found it.
Nice.
Item 22D, a temporary traffic order, 2024-14, revised New Hampshire Pumpkin Festival. The revised temporary traffic order, 2024/14 is attached in relation to this year's Pumpkin Festival for the council's review and approval. This revised TTO reflects the changes made by the Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce regarding the event since the council approved the initial TTO at its previous meeting. The motion is I move to approve the revised temporary traffic order 2024-14 for the 2024 Pumpkin Festival as presented.
I have a question.
I make a motion.
Okay, question first.
Okay. I see here, and just curiosity, maybe more, I see here that talks about the downtown area. How about the weirs? Are the parking enforcement still go on at that time? The weirs?
No, right? No, no.
Why can't we put it back?
Why?
For what purpose?
Money.
The city ordinance right now has the last day of the kiosks being in use as Columbus Day.
Okay, and I don't see anybody here from the Pumpkin Festival making a presentation.
They've already made their presentation.
Yeah. Nice try, though.
Yeah.
Well, has...
All those in favor?
No, wait, just a minute. Has the council been, have we seen anything about what they're doing in the weirs?
There's almost nothing.
Yeah, but weren't we told that they were, it was
that changed.
forthcoming?
Yeah, but there's nothing.
I
It's-
can update a little bit on that, because I was at the Weirs Action Committee meeting. There are some people at the Weirs that want to do some stuff, but they will do it, whatever they want to do, and they'll also include it with, the Chamber of Commerce, who will help advertise. Lakeport actually is talking about doing something as well with a photo booth type thing in Lakeport Square to coincide with it.
I'm still not happy because the Pumpkin Fest people wanted to tear this thing apart and never came to the city in front of this council and said what their overall goal was. This is the Laconia Pumpkin Festival. We specifically did this for downtown. I'm not saying nothing against the Weirs or anything else.
No,
Anthony was here 2 weeks ago, wanted to put up a haunted house to help with his revenue stream, okay,
Oh,
but
of
whatever,
course.
okay?
So
We still haven't seen the Lakes Region Chamber, who does this festival as a profit-making idea, come to the city and say, oh, you know, they wanted to tear it all apart all over the place. I'm in favor of doing the traffic. I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, I know, but, you know, that's a traffic order. But if you remember right, and I don't want to prolong this any further, but I'd like to be heard out. The big push was it had to be in the Weirs the last time, okay?
Yeah. Right.
It was going to be in the Weirs, no questions asked. Now I understand you're going to do whatever you want to do, but there's no big deal in the Weirs?
The business owners, if they want to do something, then why not join in? And look, Weirs is part of Laconia, Lakeport's
no, I
part of
understand
Laconia. And I agree with expanding it. Do I want it to be based downtown still? Yes.
Yeah,
But if
I
we
never
can
saw
expand
anybody
it throughout
from-
the city, why not?
Right, but I never saw anybody from the chamber come here and talk to the city council about what they first brought out in the newspaper, and they're gonna do all this and that and everything else like that. And they heard a lot of people. They heard a lot of business people upset. They never came back here and said, we revised our situation and listened to us. No, they think they're above the quote law.
I disagree. They've had several meetings with
Not
business
here.
owner, the business owners downtown, and that's what it's gonna affect.
Okay.
I'm okay with the traffic.
Bob, I agree with you on that, but anyways, we have a motion on the floor about accepting the revised traffic. All those in favor?
I second, or first.
You made the motion, we need a second.
Oh, whoever.
Eric?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, now we can vote. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, is there anything else that needs to come before the council? Thank you, gentlemen, for your perseverance. This has been an experience. You still want to thank me, Councilor Bogart? Yeah.
about the truck.
I'd like to run away.
You endured, Alex.
My wife tells me